Moura, I'm a Sauder alumni over 20 years ago, and I've been in the design industry now for 20 years. So I'm thrilled to hear about Sauder's d.studio, but I'm curious to know what it's all about.
Well, what we're really trying to do, Ronna, is make sure that our graduates come out into the workplace really being able to innovate on an environmental, economic, and social front to really add business value. So we're hoping that through the studio, it'll be an in-place practice of working collaboratively, working with design process, and actually working on real-world business problems to generate new business solutions, new business models. So it's a pretty exciting opportunity, but it'll be a good experiment.
So I've had an interesting immersion into the field of design, and I'm really left-brain analytical, was the PMF alumni, you know, really.
What's PMF? Remind me, I should know.
Portfolio Management Fund.
Portfolio Management Fund.
So I had a shift in my career. I was headed down the investment industry into owning and operating a design firm. And so I thought it wasn't going to be rocket science. It was going to be pretty easy. And I was in for a big shock. Within a couple of years, I felt like everybody around me was speaking a different language. They were thinking differently. I was honestly quite frustrated. And fortunately, I sought out an academic in the field of creative problem solving, which I didn't even know there was a field, creative problem solving. And so over the years, he helped me to actually navigate all the differences in thinking. And it's been a tremendous learning experience, an eye-opener. And there's a gold mine of information now on a whole topic of design in business that would have helped me in my start.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yes.
But still, I have to admit, it's hard. There's a tension that exists in design and business, and I always talked about it as like operating at the intersection of art and commerce and two opposing forces. And so there's a lot of attributes and habits and practices that I had to now come up to speed on, and it wasn't easy. You know, managing the tension, not trying to resolve it and get rid of it, because there is real potential in leveraging that tension, collaboration, being tolerant of ambiguity. How do you see those kind of, not skills, not hard skills, but attributes kind of being manifested in the d.studio?
Well, I think there's a very particular reason for us choosing the studio model in which to explore design thinking in business. And that's because if we think about the learning of attitudes around collaboration, integration, kind of iterating, generating ideas, evaluating ideas, they're not easily taught in a typical classroom setting. So really what the studio is an attempt at setting up a learning environment where students actually experience the challenges and the frustrations of thinking through an opportunity and a problem and beginning to understand the process of thinking that balances the critical side, if you will, the analytical side, with the creative and more exploratory side of each one of us. I guess I would maintain that it is indeed possible to set up that learning experience and have our business students graduate with an equal capacity in terms of both of those approaches. And so I'm curious from my side of things, from the Sauder side of things, what kind of a graduate are you looking to hire, and has that been easy for you, or what are the challenges around that? Because I think that's the information that we could use in terms of rethinking our curriculum.
That's a really great question, because although we're a design firm and we employ a lot of designers, we're a business.
Yeah.
And so I have actually had a tremendously difficult time trying to fill positions for general manager, managerial, like a COO kind of position. I've tried several times. I've tried hiring MBAs, and I have found that there's a dialect in business that business people are very comfortable with. And I've just found very few people with both the design thinking and the business thinking. And so I have not had very much luck. I've actually resorted to looking in the US now for design graduates that maybe have an MBA.
Oh, interesting.
And so, and I have a lot of colleagues in the US. I think there is a little more supply of people resources in the US. But I'm even finding a shortage on the client side. We work with some very large companies, and I've got a large global company that is trying to fill a couple of positions in Toronto right now, and talk to the VP of marketing, or sorry, VP of design management. They have a whole design management that actually manages and works with marketing and with design agencies and design consultants and researchers, and they can't fill the positions. And they're telling me just the other day, we can't even start some of the strategic work we'd like to talk to you guys about until we can find people here. So it's very tough.
So is this about literacy in a whole range of topics that goes beyond the typical disciplines that we find in business schools? So I guess the questions I've been asking myself is, how do we embed the design thinking, the collaborative skills, the idea of integrating and looking across all the various disciplines into our curriculum? So is that what it's about? Or do you see the need for some much more explicit outcome around, I want to hire a design manager?
I think it's about managing expectations to some degree, because it sure hasn't been for a shortage of people wanting to work in a design agency and business people. There's a lot of attraction, a lot of appeal, but then their expectations are quite different when they actually come into the field. And so there's a lot of inherent tension, characteristic of tension. So there's an element of awareness and the creative process that a lot of this is just, it is what it is, and it's normal. I've heard the term the valley of uncertainty. There's a lot of different things that are just natural in the creative process that are so foreign to the business person, from my experience, that I had to manage and be committed to before otherwise I would have bolted. And I think of a great example is Roy and Walt Disney. There you had the ultimate fusion of a business thinker and a design thinker. And from what I understand, their relationship was characteristic of any other pairing of a strong, you know, left brain, right brain, or business thinker, design thinker. And but I do have to wonder, if Roy wasn't Walt's brother, would he have stuck around? Would we have had Walt Disney today? So there's an underlying appreciation for differences and commitment and layering on the knowledge of the whole creative process and what is normal and what's to be expected.
Right. I think that one of the experiences I've been having as I've learned more about business education, and I've met more students, and especially in interviewing people in business schools other than at UBC, is that the students seem to come in with a pretty set idea of what their expectations are about, let's talk now about an MBA, about what it's going to deliver. And in particular, it feels that there's a emphasis on some of the obviously important skills around finance and accounting, and some of the more hard skills, which clearly are necessary. I've been interested in the number of popular press critiques of, so where's the leadership? Where's the understanding human resource issues? Where's the innovation And so in some ways it says to me that our curricula does need to be clearly, fully examined to say, you know, what do these students really need now? Because not everybody's going to go into a design firm, but wouldn't it be great that they go into a firm with a real understanding of what human behavior is like, whether it's as an employee or whether it's as a recipient of a service. So it does seem we need to shine the light on, you've been calling them attitudes and awareness of what it really takes now to not just have a bottom line, and maybe we'll start talking about a quadruple bottom line, because now it's about innovation. It's about who can get out in front of the curve and have a disruptive technology aspect happening and leap onto the next level.
Well, you know, absolutely, and another thing that we see, and we work with a range of companies, a lot of consumer products in beverage and food, but then we work with retail, clean energy, financial, real diverse.
Yeah.
And the one thing that is for our team really difficult to watch is when they see under-leveraged potential.
Yes.
Because there isn't the you know, awarenesses, the practices to be able to actually really collaborate together. And lots of opportunities that our team sees that just go untapped.
And that's in your client base.
And that's what I'm speaking of.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
where
So that's
the bigger, you know, to actually make real change, business model, you know, innovation, and that's all the innovation.
Yeah. So that speaks to how, this is a much bigger question, but how do universities, how does our research, how does our learning environment connect to business? And where are we globally with executive education, I think is another interesting question vis-a-vis design and design thinking. So I know Rotman is doing quite a bit of executive education in that vein. But I'm not sure that many business schools have picked up on that. Maybe from the innovation and entrepreneurship side of things, that design is kind of tucked into that. So maybe there's some opportunities for that.
Well, that would be why a lot of the larger design firms in the world, a lot of the revenue stream is now consulting in the companies, all on the innovation process and the collaborative skills.